Hey guys, we are live. We're doing kind of a last minute podcast here. We had some scheduling errors between the two of us, mostly my fault. I'm going to have on Dana Stroschein. She is the one that connected me with Gondik Law Speedway, or Gondik Law Speedway. I say that wrong every time. Up in Superior, Wisconsin, they're doing a suicide prevention mental health awareness night, and they were gracious enough to choose Warriors Next Adventure to be the recipient of part of the proceeds. So I am going to be heading up there tomorrow. I'm taking a couple veterans up with me. I think like 5 vets. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be a great fundraiser. Hopefully the rain doesn't pick up because it might rain tomorrow. I just really hope not. So I'm going to bring Dana on real quick, and she can tell you a little bit more. Thank you for coming on. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. So, hey, first rule, and I just learned this not long ago, you never say the R word.
Well, I was just looking at the forecast here. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look pretty.
Because you know what happens? You know what happens? We have this big, huge lake up here that tends to push the storms away. So we're going to be just fine.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
Again, that's for St. Paul that we're getting rain too. So I guess I didn't even look at Superior, but what do you guys do? It's dirt track racing. Tell us a little bit about what's going to happen tomorrow.
So, dirt track racing, personally, I think is way more fun and exciting than pavement racing. Just a little shout out for that. There are 7 different classes of cars. So ranging from the smallest, kind of the beginner category that are called Hornets, all the way up to, I think it's the late models that are the big fast ones. And then also tomorrow night, we get to see the vintage class come out. And the vintage class is fun because it's all vintage cars from various different years, and they really get their cars done up really neat looking. So when they found out we were doing a suicide race, they jumped in and wanted to donate more bikes. So big shout out to them for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So all of the different classes of cars go through some heat races. During that time, you guys are going to be helping us out by walking around and selling 50/50 raffle tickets, and that's where a big chunk of what we're gonna give you guys is going to come from. At intermission, we'll draw that raffle. We'll give away bikes. We're giving away 8 bikes tomorrow night, and then we'll do that. Collect the helmet. So typically, what happens with the helmet collection is some of the race car drivers will get out of their cars and come up with their helmets, and whatever that night is about, they'll collect money for that cause. A lot of times what happens is if one of the cars has a driver that's going to come and do that crashes in a heat or needs to change a tire or whatever, then they can't. The beautiful thing about having you guys come is that you guys have access to combat helmets, and I think that is a really neat visual so that people really have a good understanding of where that money's going. Because you guys will actually.
I haven't found any helmets yet, but I'm gonna run up to the Army surplus store and try to grab a couple. So if anybody has any combat helmets, I need them tonight.
Yes, please, for sure. So then the second half, after intermission, are the feature races, and after each of the feature races, the winner will be given a trophy, and that trophy is going to be in memory of someone who died by suicide, presented by a family member or a friend. And there's a lot of reasoning behind why we do that. I just wanted to again mention that you guys are presenting the trophy that is going to be recognizing all veterans who have died by suicide, because that's important. So I really feel like you guys are really kind of the focus of our race this year. So I'm excited about that.
I'm honored that you guys chose Warriors Next Adventure to be the recipient, and I get to wave the checkered flag, which that was really cool. I was super happy when I heard that. That's gonna be awesome. And we said we get to watch that whole race from the stand, right?
Yes, absolutely. Actually,
Awesome.
not from the stands. You get to watch. So you guys are doing the pure stock class, which is
Okay.
the class that Vendella Racing is a part of. And so during the pure stock race, you guys are actually going to be out in the center of the track
Oh,
in
cool.
Victory Lane, waiting for that car to pull in. So it's a
Awesome.
really neat perspective to watch a race from the center of the track in Victory Lane. So
Yeah, like I've never been on track before either. I worked for my squadron when I was in the Air Force over in North Carolina. We went to Darlington Speedway, and we got to work concession stands for NASCAR. And
Oh,
there was a
cool.
couple guys that actually got to go down and like see the cars and everything, but we were too busy, so I didn't get to do it. I was kind of upset.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
Very
this would be a
cool.
pretty sweet experience.
Well, now that I think about it, I'll be out there with you too because I get to hand the winner the big check.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
So,
So
how does somebody get into like this style of racing?
now you're going to ask me questions that I'm going to have a difficult time answering. I want to say that because I've only been really active in racing since dating my boyfriend. It's been about 3 years because his son races. But what I've found is I think some of the misconceptions and the stereotypes that people have about any kind of car racing. Nick, what are they? You know what they are. What are racing fans like?
They're a little rowdy, usually pretty
Yeah,
country.
a little rednecky.
A little bit.
Realistically, it's such a family-oriented sport. It's really neat, and so there's a lot of families that have been racing for generations. So I think that's a big way that people get into it, and then maybe friends of people that do that. So
Well,
the
Talladega
family
Nights probably
component
didn't
is
help much
awesome.
with the outlook of racing. So, as funny as that movie was. So, what was I going to say here? So, you guys, how we met? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how Megan found me. But it was after the fact. Come to find out that her and Mara, my girlfriend, were actually went to school together, which is kind of crazy. So, I think Megan's watching now. Hi, Megan.
Yeah, Megan is watching right now. Maybe she'll shoot me a text and let me know how she found you so I can update everybody.
How did you guys come up
Yeah,
with the decision though? Did you guys have a few picked out, or did Warriors Next Adventure just kind of cover all the aspects that you guys were looking for?
you know what? It really did cover it all. And I think speaking for Megan, apologize if you don't agree with me, Megan, but I know you will. The recent suicide of a friend of hers who was a veteran, I think really rocked not only her world but a lot of their friends' worlds. And I
Yeah.
think her seeing the impact that had on his family. And then not long after, there was another one, and I think we were both really talking a lot about it and about veterans and about that. And then all of a sudden you popped up, and I don't really believe there's anything such as a coincidence. So,
I don't believe in coincidence.
so here we are, and I'm really excited.
Well, I'm just happy you guys chose Warriors Next Adventure because not only do we get a portion of the proceeds, which is awesome, but I also get to take. I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 veterans coming up with me, and then I got a couple of family members and a few other folks, and then I'm also having a couple of veterans come down, and I'm paying for their tickets to come into the races too. So there should
Awesome.
be about 20 people there that either know me or are going because of me talking about this. So it should be pretty fun.
That's
I'm excited.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I haven't been to
awesome.
a race though since God, it must have been 2011 at Darlington in Charlotte. That's the last time. I mean, we drag
And that
race
was
in the military all
NASCAR.
the time. Yeah, and that was NASCAR. And we used to drag
Yeah,
race
this
all the
is
time
different.
at the quarter mile track over in Kinston. I think it was called Kinston Speedway in North Carolina. And we would all drag race our cars and everything, but it was like,
Right.
stock muscle cars and stuff like that. It wasn't like actual racing.
Right.
Big difference.
And I wonder, and I don't know about vets, what the population of vets that get into dirt racing specifically. I was just listening to another podcast today about, I'm jumping right into suicide here, but and it talked about that need for purpose.
Yeah.
And that need for a job to do, get it done. Here's how you do it. Well done. Here's your next job to do. And how when you're in active duty and when you're in the service at all, that's you are given your purpose. It's clear.
Yeah, well, we have a clear-cut mission, and we know what we need to do to finish that mission, and when you accomplish that mission, it feels good. And that's why you have to
Absolutely.
recreate your own missions every single day. Like there's
Absolutely.
I can't remember the name of the God, he was a general in the Navy, but he was talking about in one of his speeches. I screw this up every time, but he's talking about make your bed, and the first task of the day is accomplished. So even the smallest things like making your bed or
Make your
brushing your
bed.
teeth, yeah. So if you actually
Absolutely.
create these little missions for yourself, and
Right.
for me it was MMA and jiu-jitsu. So I was
Mm-hmm.
ranked number 3 in the state in 2018. So I went from a nobody to somebody, not like
Right.
famous or anything, but I was,
Right.
good enough to be one of the higher ranking ones. And that felt so good to have that mission, because whenever I would finish a
Absolutely.
fight, I would have the next fight. I would assume
Yeah.
it's a lot like racing too. You finish a race, you got to prepare for the next.
Exactly. Well, that and then combined with, when you're actually in combat, your brain flips into that trauma lens where
Mhm.
you're zoned in, everything else is shut out, and your brain is now in trauma mode. And when you're used to living in trauma mode, also, I mean, I don't know if you can attest to this, but I think a lot of people I know that have come out of active duty, and especially doing more than one tour, that sense of like I need adrenaline,
Yeah.
um, flipping my brain back into that because that's where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I think it also would provide that.
Yeah. I mean, I call it the one
You know what
track
I'm
mind.
talking about, Nick?
Yeah. So I call it the one track mind. So when you're overseas, you're only looking for the threat. Yeah, that's all you're looking for. You don't really care about the
Mhm.
friendlies, right? So you're constantly
Right.
searching for threats everywhere you go, and then you get back from the mill or you get back from deployment or something like that, and you're safe, you're home, right? But you're always looking for the threat, and that does not get turned off. So
Right.
once you finally realize that you're safe, that's when the anxiety really starts to kick in because you're still looking for something in a safe world. And I think
Right.
that's why a lot of people generally these days have anxiety because we are so safe. And, you know, I was always looking for replacements. Like when I got out of the military, unfortunately, I went to drugs for a little bit. I
Mhm.
was working downtown in Minneapolis. I mean, everybody knows this, but um, I got into cocaine for a while, and good God, that was a
Mhm.
rush, and I
Yeah.
would fight at the clubs, which was extremely unhealthy. And so finally in
Mhm.
2014, I found jujitsu, and jujitsu kind of took care of that adrenaline rush for me because jujitsu it's literal combat. So when two training partners are training together, you are going 100%. And when you
Mhm.
tap, that means you killed me. So you're
Yeah.
reenacting combat every single day, and I think that's why jiu-jitsu is so helpful. And
Mhm.
racing was actually something that I truly love too. Like the quarter mile strip down in Kingston. Oh my god, I loved getting in my Camaro and taking that strip. I do it all night. I ended up blowing
Yeah.
the head gasket in my Camaro because I raced so goddamn much. But it's that adrenaline, and it really helps to find a healthy outlet of adrenaline rather than
Exactly.
doing drugs or fighting or something
Yeah.
along those lines. So
Yeah. So yeah, I can see where that might fulfill some of those needs. Again, I don't
mhm.
know. It would be interesting to know how many vets actually are involved in dirt track racing, for
Well, one of my
sure.
board members is actually I don't know what the ones with the big spoilers and the big wheels and shit, the funny cars, the dirt tracks.
Oh, the
Um,
big wing things, sprint
yeah, yeah,
cars.
yeah. So he's a
Yeah.
sprint car racer, and he was nice enough to throw our logo on the side of his car. But
Awesome.
all their stuff was canceled because of COVID. So he
Yeah.
came back to Minnesota to start racing again, and it got canceled. So he kind of got screwed on that. But
Well, and we've been fortunate over in Wisconsin at the track, because they have been open this entire time,
yeah,
and I'm happy to say that there's not been one reported incident of COVID coming out of the track. So
good. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
I like
for
that
sure.
masks are optional because I am not a fan of the masks.
Yeah,
I don't like being told
yeah,
what to do.
right. We
Not a
will
fan.
be checking temperatures at the gates.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have a temperature, you can't come in, but I think that's just smart. So
Yeah,
for
makes sense.
sure.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
yeah,
really
I
excited
mean, we're
about
gonna
this.
have
So
bouncy house for the kids, and again, that's everyone use at your own risk, considering everything going on. Face painting, we're giving away 8 bikes, and I guess my favorite part of it is the connections that are made, because again, going
mhm.
back to now we're at this race where there's all these stereotypes, um, but people are people are people, and suicide and suicidal ideation and trauma and anxiety, they don't really care who you are, whether you're at the racetrack or the opera or a homeless
Well,
shelter.
doing what I do, I have talked to some extremely strong men, and even the extremely strong men get vulnerable during the right moments. So, a lot of
Absolutely.
these guys want to talk and they want to share some things, but they don't feel comfortable enough. They don't feel vulnerable enough to be able to share. And so, through Warriors
Right.
Next Adventure, one of the main things that I do is I get veterans into that state. And usually it's through kicking their ass, climbing a mountain, or training jujitsu, or going out on a hike, meditation. There's all kinds of different things. There's millions of different tools that I use
Mhm.
to get veterans vulnerable. And
Right.
sometimes, doing something such as sitting at the racetrack at the drag strip in North Carolina, there's plenty of
Hmm.
conversations that I ended up having with some of my fellow,
Yeah.
we were all Air Force security forces. So we were cops, but we were also,
Hmm.
we did like convoys overseas too. So a lot of us were
Right.
50 cal gunners, and we had a couple snipers with us, and so it's different, coming back. And when you get to the points where you can actually, let loose and relax a little bit and become vulnerable, that's why fishing is
Hmm.
such an amazing, release for so many people,
Right.
is
Right.
because you're calm, you're relaxed, and there's nothing else going on except for right there in that moment. And when you have somebody who can kind of drive it out of them a little bit, and I feel like I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little too pushy, I guess. I don't know, but I'm going to get you to talk. God damn it. Um,
My
it's
boyfriend
it,
often requests that I please stop making people cry, because I get there pretty quick too.
yeah, it's connection, and it doesn't help
Hmm.
too that you're a woman, and when women cry, it stings men, so it breaks them a lot quicker. So my
Right.
my
Right.
girl, Mara, you met her up there. She's a counselor,
Yeah.
and I tell her all the time. I was like, I guarantee you, counseling is much easier for you than it is for me, because if you get slightly emotional, you're gonna break dudes left and right. So it's a little
I
harder
would
for me,
I would
but
agree with that. I would agree with that. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
for
it's
sure.
when you do, we had like ECAC training. It's evasion and survival after capture. So like, what would happen, if you were to get kidnapped by the Taliban or something like that?
Hmm.
Usually they use women, and they will take the women and target the women because it'll break guys a lot quicker than if it were to happen to another guy. So it's
Yeah.
men are naturally protectors. That's nature.
Hmm.
That's the way that we are. And so when we
Right.
see a woman in a vulnerable spot, we want to get vulnerable because we want to save them. And sometimes it
Right.
just breaks down those barriers. So female counselors
Right.
actually have a lot of power.
Well, and I women are natural caretakers. I really do believe that. I
Hmm.
mean, we're mothers. We have that instinct to want to take
Yeah.
care. So I think you can feel that, and especially if you, I don't know how much you believe in whether or not people can really be empaths, but I do, and I really feel like I am.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so being
I
able to get in touch with somebody's energy is
mm,
um, a huge part of that.
yeah. I mean, I've identified as an empath my whole life. Ever since I was a
Yeah.
little kid, I used to think that I could heal people just by touching them, and I was a weird kid. Um, and yeah, I was a little strange. I didn't have a lot of friends. um, but I feel like it translates when you're an empath if you can just connect to people. So certain people have the ability to just talk to people in the right way, and
Right.
with what I end up doing, I meet people of all kinds of different genres, and you can't talk to every person exactly the same. You got to be able to just kind of
Right.
shift. I
Yeah.
always shift the way I say things, but I always say the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Absolutely.
words are changed, but the message is always exactly the same.
Right on. Yeah.
So, And so, what is the name? Have you guys decided a name? You guys are trying to start a nonprofit that we chat
Yes,
about a little bit, and
yes,
I'm loving how many people are reaching out to me about starting nonprofits. Right now, I got my fingers in probably 7 nonprofits.
really.
I don't. I just
Well,
helping. That's all I want to do is I just want to help people live their dreams. I don't want anything to do
absolutely,
with it. I'm busy enough with
absolutely.
mine. But
Yeah, and then we're gonna work on my podcast. We also have
yep.
that in the hopper.
There we go.
So,
And I definitely love helping people get started. That's one of the things that I understand about myself. I love
mhm,
providing value. So if I can help somebody reach their potential or start something new, I love being able to be attached to that. I don't go around saying, "Look what I started." I'm not a douche like that, but
yeah,
I just it brings me satisfaction knowing that I help somebody start something that is going to
yeah,
change lives because it's the ripple
yeah,
effect. Even if I'm the one that throws the stone, it's not me that's going to do all the work.
right.
It's the ripples in the water. Eventually it's gonna,
Yeah,
eventually it'll erode the shore and it'll be a bigger pond. That's just the way it
yeah.
works.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
absolutely
it's
right.
nice
So,
teaming up with people like you and
yeah.
Megan and I love seeing the healing people going out, reaching out, just trying to make the world a little bit better.
Mama went to the races. We're racing tonight in Grand Rapids. Our car is in Grand Rapids, so I'm
Oh, nice.
babysitting.
Nice.
Um, so we did decide officially on Rise Above Suicide Stigma.
Nice.
Um, I've struggled with, do you put a hyphen in between suicide and stigma, or a slash, or an and? But
Eh,
really,
that's
when I think about
that
the name, what I think about is Rise Above Suicide for sure. Rise Above Stigma for sure. Rise Above Suicide Stigma, absolutely. Absolutely. The stigma associated with suicide is, I think, one of the harshest thing for survivors
yeah.
to deal with. Absolutely, absolutely. And so that really is what we're looking to do: provide support to people who are dealing with their own suicidal ideation. Um, history, or maybe they're a survivor of a really serious attempt or multiple attempts, or a mother or a father, parent of somebody who died by suicide, to be able to give very specific support to each one of those groups through peers. Ultimately,
Yeah.
I would love to see a peer turnover. So one of the biggest things that I hear, and this is from parents especially, is nobody asked me about her. Nobody said anything nice about her. Where if you have a child, even a child who dies in a tragic car accident, you'll have people saying to you, "Oh, she was such a lovely girl," or "Oh, we're gonna miss her so much," or "She babysat my kids, and we're gonna miss her so much." But when it's a suicide, nobody says that. Nobody knows what to say. And so what happens is that parent, in this particular instance, not only has the initial shame and guilt of why didn't I see it and what could I have done different, but now people are kind of avoiding me. And so there must
Yeah.
be really something wrong here. And so all of that together leads to a feeling of being completely alone. Um,
Well, grief is actually something that I find that most Americans for sure have a huge
mhm,
struggle with. So the grieving process is something that needs to be understood. And there's a lot of,
for sure.
obviously I focus on veterans, but this goes for everybody.
Hmm.
People
Yeah.
think that, oh, time heals all wounds. That's like the most
No,
annoying thing anybody can say to
no,
somebody because there is no time limit on grief. You need
no.
to process it and you need to let it. I always say you need to sit and you need to bask in it. It's
Yeah,
depressing.
feel it.
It's sad.
Feel it
It's
all the way
it's
through.
yeah. If you don't feel it, you're
Hmm.
doing is burying it. And like I use the ship in the sea method. If you take all these things and you just box them up and you throw them in the bottom, what's going to happen? You're going to sink your ship. You need to
Yeah.
unbox some of that stuff and throw it overboard because if you don't actually stop and take the time to process these things and understand why you are sad and understanding that it
Hmm.
is okay to be sad if you lose somebody,
Right.
it's okay to be
Yeah.
heartbroken if you lose somebody you love,
Mhm.
and it's okay
It's
not to
okay to think
understand.
about It's okay to think about dying yourself when you
Mhm.
lose someone.
Yeah.
Um, all of those, and they're scary thoughts, and they're thoughts that are really associated with stereotype, like, oh, now I'm crazy. um, we're all susceptible, given the perfect storm. I always say
Mhm.
we're all susceptible to homicide and suicide given the perfect storm. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. If something happened to my children, if something horrifically bad happened, I can't guarantee you that I wouldn't truly become homicidal.
Oh yeah, we
um
talked a little bit. Me and my daughter talked about the whole pedophile thing going on right now because she asked about it.
yeah.
I was like, just so you know, Daddy will be going to jail if something ever happens, and that's something I'm okay with. And
Yeah.
just the
Hmm.
thought, the thought of somebody ever touching my children in a bad way. Whoo, yeah, I would definitely go
Yeah.
to jail. I would
Yeah.
do
So
horrible
there
things
you
to
go.
my children.
Given something, even just a home invader comes in, and maybe
Yeah.
you don't think you'd ever really do that, but when you're scared for your life, you have the ability to kill someone.
Mhm.
As everyone is susceptible to potentially dying by suicide,
Yeah, yeah. I
given
mean, the
given the
perfect
right.
storm comes around. I never thought that
Absolutely.
I would go down that road. And in
Right.
2015, I actually tried. I pulled the trigger on myself. I never thought that I would go through something like that. And I held that
Yeah.
story for a couple years. I didn't tell anybody, except for the first time it really came out was there was a female who called 911. And as many know, I'm a 911 dispatcher for the Minnesota State
Hmm.
Patrol. And she called and she said, "I'm going to kill myself. I don't deserve to live." And I pulled her up on camera because we had her GPS, and there I saw her standing on a bridge, and a car was parked
Hmm.
right there. Come to find out, she got kicked out of her house and she was living in her car. And she just decided she had enough. She had lost her husband,
Yeah.
she had lost her son, she was
Hmm.
raped in the military and never really processed it. So I found out that she
Right.
was a veteran, and so we started talking a little bit. And being relatable is the hardest thing, I think, for most counselors for veterans. And I think that's where
Hmm.
I kind of have a leg up on a lot of people, is just the amount of
Right.
experiences that I've been through and how I process through them. And
Right.
I've gotten to this point. And so through connecting with her and telling her, listen, you know I know our situations are different, but I can
Hmm.
empathize with what you're going through. I was like, I too tried to kill myself. I was like,
Hmm.
I put a bullet up to my, I put a gun to my head, and I tried to pull the
Right.
trigger, and it didn't happen. And I realized after the fact that I'm here for a reason. There's another reason why I'm supposed to be here. And I was like, and I truly believe that maybe it's to sit here and take this call and talk to you, and maybe talk you out of making this mistake. And I was
Right.
like, we need to understand that there's much more to life than what you're going through right now. It
Hmm.
must be hard, and I understand, why you're in this position. I was like, but
Hmm.
I was like, you haven't explored every option. And I was like, please let me help you. And she got down, and the troopers grabbed her and pulled her down. But
Yeah.
sharing that story and understanding
Hmm.
that, you know, I still can't believe that I went that far. And one of my partners ended up hearing me, so I had to explain what actually happened and why I said that I said. And I started to
Yeah.
tell people more and more once I started this nonprofit. And a tragic mistake that ended up, you know, not working, ended up turning
Right.
into a story that's gonna maybe help save
Right.
some people here and there.
Well, I have, and I've always wanted to do more. I'm very drawn to. I've got ADHD. I like things moving fast. I
Mhm.
ran a crisis response team for almost 3 years, so 24/7. I was in the loop, and I was often out, taking those same calls and working with the different police departments, which was just a fabulous experience with a lot of them.
Mhm.
So the action, action, action. Um, but I missed that. I'm in independent therapy, and I've got my own office, and I'm part of a practice, creative counseling group. Um, and I miss the being on the front lines. I miss being in the action.
Mhm.
Um, and so I've done a lot of thinking about, well, what do I want to do? And I really want to start a nonprofit. And then I got sick over the spring, and I was hospitalized. And for a little while, there was some concern that I had cancer, and I had to have surgery. And because it was Corona season, I was in the hospital alone and I couldn't have visitors, and everybody was in masks and gowns, and it was very, and I'm contemplating cancer. Now, I myself, as a therapist, didn't used to talk about it either, but I've struggled with passive suicidal ideation probably since age 16. It's something that, as a therapist, I never talked about because there's this fear that, well, if you tell anybody that, you're going to lose your license.
Yeah,
You
it's some
know, so
people
that's a
think you lose
whole different
credibility too.
topic. I
Yeah.
just outed myself on your podcast here, but it is something that I did start to tell clients that I had dealt with it in the past, and it's just a lot of those things. So I started to think about that, and I started to think about, well, a lot of times I would say, well, my kids are what keeps me alive. Good thing I have my kids, because if it weren't for my kids, I don't think I could do this. And what I realized is all of these thoughts coming together about I want to do bigger and better things, and I want to really help people, and I love saving lives, and I love being on the front lines. And now I've got probably less than half of my life, let's be real, left to live. I really want to do this, and that's kind of when, yeah, like, why not? In the middle of a pandemic, economic collapse, I think I should start a business. I don't know.
Hey, you know, that's actually statistically proven. That's the best time to start a business.
Well, there we go then.
You know,
And then I met Megan. And we did a lot of talking about all these beautiful healing things that we had more time to do. And boy, wouldn't it be great if like this could be our job? And next thing you know, hey, let's figure out a way to make this be our job, to bring people out. Like I said, those groups of people who feel like they're alone, and get all those people together. And let's take technology away, and let's be outside, and let's be together. And there's healing there. There's healing in the woods. There's healing in nature, and there's healing in togetherness. I'm super excited about
have been on mountain climbs and hiking in the woods, and then there's a couple waterfalls that I'll take veterans to that we learn how to meditate. And
right.
It's harder for me to get veterans to meditate because they'll think it's voodoo, but you know, it's really just sitting and being quiet and listening to your thoughts. That's all it is. And so convincing a veteran to actually like sit down and meditate is actually a lot harder than you think. But just getting them into that vulnerable state by taking them out into the woods, because nature is healing. I don't care what anybody says.
It is, and grounding and being barefoot in the dirt. And one of the things that I tell people that struggle with that meditating is when you're outside, to go through your senses and listen for some different things, and look at some different things that maybe you didn't look at closely ever before, and touch some different stuff and see what it feels like. And why don't you smell a couple of things? And that kind of distracts the rattling, repetitive thoughts and gives you a focus, and you're being mindful, and voila, you're meditating. So
yeah, mindfulness meditation is definitely my favorite. And you know, being more mindful on your day-to-day life is something that I preach, especially when hiking, because when you actually walk through the woods, a lot of times you're having a conversation, right? And it happens, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I say, you know, take some time as you're walking through, you have to stop and actually listen to the wind going through the trees. You know, actually listen to the bark scratching against each other. Listen to the sound of your feet scratching through or you know, crunching through the leaves, and you know, look at the colors, the sights, the sounds, the color of the trees, the color of the bark, the color of the ground. There's so much more that we ignore because you're not aware. You know, when I tell guys, you know, be more aware, they're like, what the fuck do you mean? You're like, you know, what color was that flower that we just passed? You're like, what are you talking about? And you look back and there's like 7 flowers right there on the side. It's like you got to open your eyes, you know, use your peripherals and actually open. You know, you gotta open your view. You know, so many people, like you said, are in that one track mind, and they're only looking forward. You have to just stop and just I call it doing a panorama of life. You know,
for sure. Well, and that's what I say. You know, living in gratitude. When I wake up in the morning, if I look for every little thing that's going to go wrong, I'll find everyone. I mean, there's going to be a ton of them, because not everything goes right. Now, if I make a decision to wake up in the morning and look for every little thing that I have to be grateful for, I can go nonstop all day long and continue to find new things. And not only that, now I feel good. Now I feel good about the world. And so it's teaching things like that. But what we're really looking at with the nonprofit is doing it with groups of people who are all kind of in the same place as far as their loss.
Yeah.
So that they can support each other. And then the next time we have a group of, for instance, parents come through, that old group is going to be more than welcome to come back and spend time with these ones. And so I want to build a community, a place where people can come to, belonging, purpose, all of that. Kind of a retreat center where people can find belonging and purpose and hope and camaraderie. So, vets, groups of vets. I would love to have you bring groups down and do groups with you guys. I think that would be great. Do a retreat.
Yeah, we talked a little bit. There are a lot. Most of my people who follow Warriors Next Adventure know that the Warriors Ranch is in the making, and the majority of what it's going to be is a mental health retreat, and with a focus on learning a trade or learning a skill, in some way, because I plan on having so many damn activities there to where you can't go to that place and not learn something. And, obviously I have to work together, the programming and everything like that. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I still need to find land,
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
I got some things in the works here. And my plan is to, use mainly peer-to-peer counseling, but also the camaraderie and the team building activities and stuff like that. So having a group of like 5 or 6 veterans together, literally just hanging out alone is healing. And that's what we need. We need that time with the boys, usually before a mission, you sit in the day room is what we call it. And you just sit and bullshit with each other. You make fun of each other. You talk about, sports, you talk about just dumb shit. And it's just having that camaraderie of, having a group of people around that are like you. Every once in a while, it's really nice to have that.
Exactly. And especially when we're talking about sensitive issues like that, sensitive things that people have been through together or separately, but together. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea. And, using peer-to-peer for certain things like that. So having people sharing their stories. And I think that's why AA is actually so successful, is just because you have other people coming in there who have been through what you're going through, sharing, hey, this is what happened. This is what I did wrong. This is what I did right. Take the information and do with it as you will.
Yeah. And I've compared this a lot of times to kind of the premise of Alcoholics Anonymous. People who have been through something similar, helping each other in order to feel better. And I mean, the majority of people in mental health, there's a reason they're in mental health. Whether big or small, there's a reason that's what they're doing. And for me, I can't help but help myself when I help someone else. That's not why I do it. That's not why I do it, but it is a natural occurrence that happens. Thus, if I can teach you how to help the next person that comes through that's going through this, you're going to heal too. And you're going to do it in a way that's really, really healthy. Because the woods, you can go there anytime you want, and it's free, and there's no COVID there.
That's the best part.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, it's, from what I've realized, my experience and my journey that I've been on the last few years, is the times where I felt the best about myself is when I could see a veteran having the aha moment, because of either something I said or one of the conversations that we had that actually turns that light on. Says, oh man, I've been thinking about this all wrong. And just a slight shift, like, have you ever used a compass before? Like actually track something with a compass?
Yes.
Okay. So, say you're going like 3,000 meters and that dial is off just 5 degrees. You're going to wind up way off course, right? So all I'm trying to do is take that compass and just slightly shift it, just to get them to start thinking in a different, angle, because you come at it at a different angle, you might get to your destination a little quicker, and you have to understand that you might not always have all the answers. And so actually going to a group of peers I feel is the
Mhm.
best way, to actually truly find what you're looking for. But it's up to you to
Yeah.
choose.
Well, and as a therapist, I know, in order for people to come in and have a session with me, even if it is maybe a short term. So there's a suicide. I'm dealing with suicide related grief. I'm probably not going
Mhm.
to be depressed the rest of my life. People don't want to have to get diagnosed to see
Mhm.
me or to see somebody in the field. People don't want that to go into their medical record, and I understand that. For a lot of people, it's not financially feasible. For a lot of people, it's not easily accessible.
Mhm.
I want to take all those barriers away.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think that's where I have a leg up on some other, counselors and stuff, is because it's not going to cost anybody anything. I'm not a mandatory reporter. I don't have to tell anybody anything, so I
right.
counsel veterans, completely anonymously too. I still get text messages. I think it's been like 9 months since I've been talking to one guy, because my phone
Yeah.
is a 24/7 suicide hotline, completely anonymous if you want it to be. And I've been talking to
Hmm.
this guy for 9 months. I have no clue who this guy is, but I feel like he's my best
Yeah.
friend. I know the guy very well. But
Yeah.
it's just having that, that ability to talk to somebody anonymously and get the help that you
Hmm.
need without, worrying about,
Yep.
you know, getting stuff in your records or getting in trouble at work or something along those lines.
Right. Well, or now you call, a lot of the numbers you call, you can't even call, you have to text, and then maybe they'll
Mhm.
text you a link to get some online resources. And I'm sorry, but I just don't think I don't think that's how it
The veteran
works.
suicide hotlines like that. You have to go through all the prompts and
Um,
everything before you actually reach
all
somebody.
the prompts, and then maybe you end up talking to somebody across the United States. Yeah, I would love to figure
Mhm.
out a way for that to work better here, and I love the idea of it being different. Um, and the other thing that we want to do is we want to do trainings, and we want to do speakers and fundraisers, and we want to blanket northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, as far as we can reach. We want to blanket the
Yeah.
community with talk about suicide resources, suicide prevention, suicide awareness. It's okay to talk about it. Let's break down the stigma, because as we go into potentially, and I don't know, hopefully not more lockdowns, um, we're going to watch that rate continue to go up.
Mhm.
I'm not okay with that.
Very against lockdowns. I've been more than outspoken about lockdowns since the beginning,
Yeah.
mainly because of the mental
Yeah.
health factor, because nobody was talking about it. And then, of course, I
Yeah.
was alienated, and there's a lot of people who actually don't talk to me anymore because I was so against the lockdowns, because I was like, there will be more deaths from suicide, drug overdose,
Hmm.
child neglect, child abuse, spousal abuse than COVID will kill
Hmm.
at all. I promise you that. And I don't want to be right. I mean,
Right.
we're not going to know for
Well,
sure until
rates
next year,
rates
but I
are
mean,
already rates have already started to go up compared to where
mhm.
they have been for a long time. And
Well,
I'm
and the thing
I'm
that
not
bothers
okay
me
with
too,
that.
when people are like, "Oh, what do you know?" Like, maybe the 7 suicide calls that I just took, maybe all the
Right.
calls at dispatch that I've been taking about people, domestic abuse, domestic assault, child neglect,
Yeah.
watching people
Oh
get
yeah.
shot, literally
Oh, and I
watched
can't
somebody get
imagine.
shot last month. It was ridiculous that even had to happen,
Right.
and
And
you
you're
gotta,
and you're hearing that all the time, of course.
yeah, and you got to
Of course.
understand, like, not only am I doing this nonprofit, but I am a 911 dispatcher. I see a lot of things that people don't see, especially in the
Yeah.
Twin Cities. There's a lot of people like, "Oh, it's not that bad." Trust me. Go sit with Minneapolis PD for a day, and you're going to see how many calls that they get for assaults, murders, stabbings, shootings, all kinds of stuff. And the amount of people that are dying
Mhm.
because of this stuff, and then the riots on top of it, it just didn't help. This
Yeah.
world is not, it's not what people think it is sometimes. I'm not
No.
saying it's a dark place and everybody should be scared, running and hiding all the time. However,
It's
there are
easy
some
to
things
go
that,
there. It's easy to go
yeah,
there though, Nick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to
Absolutely.
understand, like, the reason why I bring these things up is because I'm seeing it front hand, and I
Right.
get why people are frustrated with my point of view on this, and that's okay. I don't care. It's my opinion. Fuck off.
Hmm.
So I care more about mental health than I do about, being forced to be locked down for my safety. I don't like
Right.
that. Not a fan.
Yeah,
I think it should be
I feel
100%
you for
choice.
sure. Yeah, no, for sure. And that's, I mean, I do therapy, and we were doing teletherapy for a while, but it's still okay. They're still locked in their house. And sometimes
Hmm.
the fear was so great. And then you put that on top of an anxiety disorder that people were scared to go outside. And what happens when you don't go outside for
Oh,
months?
well, you lack the vitamin D. Vitamin D alone is going to screw with your
Ugh,
body, and then there's so much more that
fresh
comes with it.
air,
There's so many things that
any
you're
of
missing
that,
out on just staying inside. And then
which
all
is,
other sicknesses are skyrocketing right now, like tuberculosis even. And it's just because people are cooped up inside their houses, and it's a
yeah.
goddamn germ trap in there.
Yeah. So yeah, the mental health part has scared me from the very beginning. And I know like even the local crisis response team in Duluth. Hi, honey. Oh, are we gonna read a book in a little bit? Okay. Okay. All right, we're gonna read a book in a little bit.
Oh,
The
nice.
crisis response team shut down. They dismantled when you muted yourself, Nick. Oh, you did it on purpose. Oh, because you're having a conversation with someone else about something. What if it's me? What if he's talking about me? I'm just kidding.
No, you're good.
Um,
My youngest
yes.
ran outside, and my oldest is supposed to be watching her, but she's in her room right now, not doing what I asked her. Hey, Chuck's outside. Can you
Ah.
go just go play with her? Thanks. She's a good kid.
Um.
She just got back from Texas. I had seen her like 2 months, and my sister has 4 children, so she's got a little bit better taste of like how you should act with your siblings. So she's been a great
Ah.
sister back. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, the
sorry about that.
crisis response team here dismantled when the lockdown started.
Really?
Go figure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Right when they probably need it the most.
Right. And all of those in-home mental health services pulled out. Went to phone contact or video contact, and again, what do we need? We need people.
Well,
I mean,
ultimately, human connection is how we all will get through anything. We need to be connected to each other
absolutely.
because it's like the link in the chain theory. We're all
Hmm.
linked together somehow. We gotta be there to help the weakest link until they can hold on their own. But still, we're all still connected.
Right, right. And so all of that stuff is super concerning. So I go back to why during a pandemic and an economic uh, potentially collapse,
Hmm.
that's why. And the other thing that I always say is, if not me, who?
Yeah, yeah, and
I
then
mean,
it sucks that a lot of the stuff went online, but at least it was still there, which is good. Not good enough in my eyes, but I stopped doing
mhm,
some events for a while because I had a couple people reach out to me that they were concerned that I was still doing events. In my head, I was
mhm,
like, "Fuck off," but I was like, "All right,
yeah,
I'll cave for a month or two." And so for about 2 months, I stopped doing all events online or all events
mhm,
in person. And
mhm.
we got together a few times. We played like Cards Against Humanity. We did Zoom groups and we played Cards Against Humanity with each other.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
we had
Mhm.
just different groups. And then that actually made me want to start my podcast, but live streaming it. So instead of doing
Yeah.
face to face podcasts, which I think are better just because the audio is good, because I have a really good audio system, I was just
Yeah.
like, you know what? People are cooped up and we need to start talking to each other. So I was like, I need something live.
Yeah.
And then Scott from Military Crosshairs or Military
Mhm.
Crossfire, he asked me to come on his show, and it was StreamYard, which is what we're using right now. And I loved it. I
Mhm.
was like, this is awesome. And so I started live
Yeah.
streaming everything on StreamYard. And so I just paid
Yeah.
for it. And it's like, you know what? If you're looking to start a podcast, just use
Mhm.
StreamYard because it automatically
Yeah.
goes to YouTube and it automatically saves in your Facebook. And
Really.
it you can just set up stuff just like we did today. And I just boop, go live, and then it saves
Yeah.
the video, and you can save the
Yeah.
audio, and you can just put it aside for later. So
Interesting. Well,
StreamYard
and
is
I think
awesome.
that's and what I would and what I envision that being is people telling their stories
Hmm.
um, about their suicide story. Whatever your suicide story is, I think storytelling and being able to tell our stories and that narrative therapy is so healing.
Yeah.
Because as you tell your story, the pieces of it start to make a little bit more sense, and you can look for connections in the story, and I just think that storytelling and narrative therapy is great, and so I I think that would be really beneficial to people that are ready to share their story. Let's do it now while people are suffering. Let's do it now. Let's not
Yeah,
wait.
you never know when somebody needs to hear something, and
Yeah.
when you're I used to be very self-conscious about like anything that I put out because I was like, oh, people aren't going to like my video or they're going to think I'm a
Yeah, I'm
douche. And
totally
I finally
self-conscious right now, have been for the last 50.03 minutes.
I finally got to the time where like, fuck it, I don't care. There's going to be plenty of people that are going to like what I have to say. There's going to be plenty of people that are going to argue with what I have to say. Guess what? I don't care. Let's talk about it,
Right.
and then you can
Right.
comment in the comments and then we can talk about it at another time, or I can have a podcast with you and you can come on and we can talk about it. It's what it's
Right.
doing is it's connecting us, whether we agree or disagree. You're constantly
You're
connecting people
absolutely
to
right.
each other. And I
Mhm.
would much rather risk looking like a dumbass than not doing anything.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah, I guess I would feel the same way.
yeah,
I'd
I
rather
still
look
got
like
a
a
lot of
dumbass
vets
too.
who fuck with me all the time and say that I look retarded or my hair looks stupid or like dumb things. It's nonstop with vets because we just jab at each other. But
For sure.
I think because
For
of
sure.
the military and because of the amount of jabs I've gotten from the military guys, I just don't care.
Yeah.
I have a lot of armor when it comes to my my feelings.
Yes.
It takes a lot to offend me. That helps.
So yeah, so that's really what we're looking to do with it. Eventually moving into doing some lobbying and changing legislation. I don't know that now is the time to really be worrying about legislation. As far as that goes, there's a lot of
Yeah.
other big political things that seem to be happening. So
Yeah,
we'll let those play out
probably
first.
probably better to wait on that one
Yeah,
for a little bit.
yeah, that's what I'm
Hey,
thinking.
if you
Just a little
start
bit.
talking if you start talking like regulations and laws and everything like that, let me know. I'd like to be involved in that. I mean, you're on the. Do
For
you
sure.
live in Wisconsin or Duluth?
I actually live in Minnesota. I practice in Wisconsin.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
and I think more people banding together who are, helping with mental health and suicide prevention and
Mm-hmm.
suicide awareness, everything like that. We do need to band together and
We do.
maybe try to change something, because as of now, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to change individual people. But if we change legislation, like you're talking, and find better solutions for what we have going on right now, because you can always improve no matter what. I definitely would like to be involved. Hi.
Hi, say hi. It's Nick.
Do you say hi?
It's Nick.
Nope.
Say
She's
hi, Nick. Yeah. Yeah, so that pretty much is what we want to do. Again, right now, it's in the idea mode. I actually am going to be working with with an organization on some branding and marketing, working on all that great stuff like mission statement and all that, and startup capital. I mean, that's really where we're at. So it's a very, very beginning, but it's very, very exciting. And it is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And
Well, what I've learned is as long as you're passionate about what you're doing in life, it won't fail. You just have to have
Yeah.
passion. You have to have drive. You got to work for it. But
Mhm.
the true drive is that passion that you have to actually make a change in the world. And I feel like that's how, if anybody is either feeling down about themselves or is, feeling like they're not good enough or something along those lines, help somebody. And I promise you, it will make you feel better.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
even the smallest thing, like I personally, I don't give homeless people money. But I have hired multiple homeless people to come work landscaping jobs with me. If they actually show up,
Awesome.
I pay them much more than I would pay somebody else, but I don't really give money to people. However,
Well, it's giving somebody purpose.
yes, and if you give them $1 or give them a water bottle or just say something nice to them, or even just like a fellow veteran who's struggling, reach out and call him, just talk to him. You don't have to do like anything drastic, just a phone call. Go to a like an old folks home and find the veterans in there, and I've done that a few times. And oh boy, plan for a couple hours because they like to talk, and
For sure.
I do too. So it's perfect. And
Yeah.
some of the conversations that you have, it's not only the fact that they want to share their story, but they just want to talk to somebody. And
Right.
that alone can make somebody's day. So even just calling somebody and talking to them
Hmm.
can change their
Hmm.
mood and change their day. And that will make you feel better about your situation. I promise you.
Absolutely. I agree with
So,
you 100%, Nick.
yeah.
100%.
Well, giving back is
Yep.
always
Yep.
better than receiving. In my mind, I know some people might be different, but I
It
personally would rather give more than I receive.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. It's very fulfilling. And again, I think it
Mhm.
fulfills that sense of purpose. I mean, I really
Yeah.
feel like the the personality characteristics that I have that make me who I am, that have often made me vulnerable to trauma,
Mhm.
and vulnerable to not being maybe treated as well as I deserve to be treated. Those same characteristics, if used in a different way, make me really good at what I do.
Yeah.
Um, and that thus I feel like is my purpose. Um, and so while I'm fulfilling my purpose, I continue to get better. And that's not to say that I'm not okay, but I don't know. Nothing wrong with getting gooder every day. Nothing
Well, I
wrong
mean,
with that at all.
it's constant improvement. I say often, always be on a constant road to self-improvement, because on that
Mhm.
road it will always lead to happiness. Although there's
Yeah,
going to be failures, there's always the caveats, but
absolutely.
eventually down the road, if you live your life on a constant path of self-improvement, everything
Hmm.
around you will get better, because people see you getting better and they'll say, "Oh God,
Right.
maybe I should work on myself." Or they have somebody to look up to. They have you to look up to,
Hmm.
and that
Right.
alone can create, some happiness inside
Hmm.
somebody. And three,
Absolutely.
when you're actually taking your environment and you're looking at the issues in the environment and actually doing something to change that environment,
Hmm.
you overall are going to make the world a better place. And that alone, there's no better feeling than that.
No, I agree.
So
No, I absolutely agree. My sister always says, I don't know how you can do the things you do and hear the things you've heard and see the things you've seen. And I'm sure you hear the same thing.
yeah.
And I look at her and say, I don't know how you taught second grade. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
That sounds
I'd way
horrible.
rather be going out on a 911 call on a suicide with,
Yeah.
you know, than be in a second grade for even like 10 minutes. No
Yeah.
way.
Well, in my mind, it's
So,
controlled chaos. I think that's why I love dispatch so much. Is it's all
yeah,
controlled chaos.
oh,
It
for sure.
it can lead to somebody dying, of course,
Hmm.
but it's also the max reward of knowing that something you said saved somebody's life. And that there's
Yeah.
no better reward than that.
No, that's what I miss the most about doing the crisis response team. Um, but 24/7 being aware of everything that's going on,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It was time to make a change. And again, I tend to jump around and try this and try that and try this. And I think all of that compiled together really makes this nonprofit um, something that I think I'm there. I think it's doable and I've met the right person to do it with. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, I feel great about it. I feel like it's going to happen for sure.
Well, I'm excited to see where it goes, and
Yeah,
I definitely want to reach out and help. If you guys got
for
some
sure.
vets who want to link up with some vets, I will be there for you guys, and
Absolutely.
we will figure something out. And honestly, I'm really excited for tomorrow. To be honest, I can't
I know.
wait.
I can't wait.
I still got to go
It's
buy
going to
a
be
table
so
though.
fun.
I don't have a table,
Oh,
and I got to get one of those. I was looking
you're
around
really,
for
you
one
know
the
what
other
I
day.
think one of your strengths is, Nick, being prepared.
I'm a fucking procrastinator. Like I will be
Oh, me
prepared, but
too.
like seconds
Me
before
too.
I get there. And if I'm
That's how
not,
I
I'll
do
just
my
wing it.
best work, I think.
I like to wing it. There's not a lot of things like when I do camping trips by myself or I do trips by
Hmm.
myself, I don't plan. I say this is where I'm going to go. This is the general
Yep.
idea. I don't really bring much with me. I just go and I figure it out as
Hmm.
I go. And learn
Yeah.
to survive and live off the land, stuff like that. It's so much fun. And oh, Megan says she got a
Yeah.
table. Lifesaver. Thank you.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
nice. Um, but no, I don't like to plan. I like to just do it. When I'm taking a bunch of veterans to go climb a mountain, I have to be prepared. So this nonprofit is
Yeah.
actually teaching me to prepare a little bit better, except for
Yeah.
getting a table the day before I have an event.
I just noticed that there's comments over here.
Yeah.
Check that
Yeah.
out. Dirt is a fun time. Steve, I agree. Dirt is fun. It
Steve is
absolutely
actually
is.
one of the guys he had an idea for a nonprofit and I pretty much kicked him in the ass. And then like a month and a half, 2 months later, this guy is just exploding down in Florida. So I'm excited.
Really?
I'm supposed to be meeting up with him next year. So I'll be traveling the
Awesome.
country and hopefully meeting up with him on the water over on the East Coast.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll
Cool.
be fun. Well,
No,
I will
tonight's
see
going
you
to be great.
tomorrow. I'm going to
Yes,
cut it
yes.
off here. We just hit an hour, which is great. And I
Okay.
love what you're doing. I love your heart. I love the fact that you want to help people heal, and you definitely are my people. So
Yeah.
let's not have tomorrow be the last time that we interact.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Nick.
All right, good.
All right. See you
All right, we'll
tomorrow.
talk soon. All right, I'm going to
All
drop
right.
you off and do my ending
Okay.
here. I will see
Bye-bye.
you tomorrow around 4-ish.
All right.
Real quick, do you guys
Perfect.
have a website yet or an email or anything like that for the nonprofit you
No,
want to start? No, not yet. Okay.
no, I do not.
Eventually, if anybody is interested in what they're doing and you guys want to find it, either contact her or contact me, and I will get you guys in contact. So
Absolutely.
I will definitely
Yeah,
be an
that'd be
advocate for
great.
you guys. All right, we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nick, so much.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And again, tomorrow we have the races up at the Gondik Law Speedway. God, I screw that up every time. And Megan said that they're broadcasting it for only $20 for anybody who actually can't go. So if you still want to go watch the races and watch me wave the flag, I'm so excited for that. You can actually still watch it yourself. If anybody is up in the Superior, Wisconsin area, Duluth area, Chucky, calm down. I got to get rolling. My daughter is going nuts. You guys can come on down, and if there's any veterans in the area, up in the Duluth area that want to go to the races, let me know, and I'll get your ticket. I'm excited for all this. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to go check it out. Also, we have the St. Croix River suicide prevention paddle. We have a couple sponsors, Onyx Hunting, Onyx Maps. They are going to be the official sponsor for the canoe paddle. And it's kind of cool. They hooked me and Will up with premium memberships. We also have a couple extra premium memberships to give away. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do that. And then we are also sponsored by Train Like a Ranger. He was an Army Ranger, and what he does is he helps train people to get ready to try out for the Rangers. But he's also got a bunch of different programs online. So you can go to trainlikearanger.com and you can actually download some of his training programs. They're only like $35. So, I mean, if you guys ever had a personal trainer, that's a huge deal. He was awesome enough to give me a couple programs. So I got the gym rat, the cardio, and the combat sports training. And honestly, it's been kicking my ass. And I'm finally starting to see an ab, which is nice. We are also sponsored by Minnesota Military Exchange. They are a collective impact here in Minnesota that's trying to get all veteran nonprofits, veteran organizations, veteran providers together under one umbrella. So if you need anything, whether it's like a car or you need to talk to somebody, there's a site you can go to. You can click on it, and it's mnme.us. So Minnesota Military Exchange.us. We are also brought to you by. I got a lot of sponsors today. I'm sorry, guys. Fuji Sports. So Fuji Sports, for the people in the jiu-jitsu world, Fuji has amazing rash guards, and they actually made Warriors Next Adventure rash guards, and you can buy those. I just put them on the line on the website, so you guys can go there and check that out. And then we are also brought to you by. Oh God, I'm having brain farts. I knew I should have had this written down before I actually started doing it. Let's see here. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Gotta love Dame Bramage. All right, so why does this not want to pop up for me when I need it? Jeez. Okay, so AMA Fitness, they are a gym over in North Carolina, and he is sponsoring us as well. So he's made a generous donation and everything like that. So go check his stuff out, amafitness.com. And then also we have the Fours Campground, which is Will, who is my partner on the canoe trip. He owns a campground. It's a seasonal campground over in Webster, Wisconsin. It's pretty awesome. And then also Image 360 here in St. Paul. I ordered a banner, which is actually like the same as this flag here, just a little smaller. And I wanted it for like events and stuff. And they actually clicked on my website, found out what I did, and then ended up calling me and gave me the banner for free. So I'm like, hey, do you guys want to sponsor us? So they're sharing the GoFundMe, and they made a bunch of stickers for us and everything like that. So, which is pretty sweet. So if you guys want to donate to the St. Croix River suicide prevention paddle, you can go to GoFundMe and just search St. Croix River Veteran Suicide Prevention Paddle. That was way too long, but if you break it down into acronyms, it sounds ridiculous. So we'll just leave it at that. Again, tomorrow we will be at the Gondik Law Speedway up in Superior, Wisconsin, trying to raise some money. And I hope to see you guys there. I will be live on Monday at 3:30 Central Time with another special guest. You guys are going to want to hear that one. I'm not even tell you who they are. So talk to you guys later. Goodbye.